You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming. Something to me on Twitter, The Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Heroes Advent, Max's Path. Alright, y'all. Before we jump into it, just wanted to let y'all know that our Patreon is now up for as little as $5. Y'all can help support the channel, get some awesome rewards like permanent access to our community Discord server and full access to upcoming Not Safe for Work videos. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in. Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Alrighty. Put alarm chain over here so I don't see her and get distracted. Okay. So there we go. Alright, let's do it. Lady Spring! Lady Spring! Oh, gods be praised! Bless our land with your almighty presence, fair sage! And may you watch over our child, O great sage of spring! It's her! Max swiftly covered your mouth before you could cry out her name. Shh! Don't say that name in public, Cassian. You're right, sorry. You nodded at him as you stepped back in line with your group. As you looked at Alyssa, however, it seemed that she'd already noticed you as she promptly greeted you back with a knowing smile. With a gleeful smile, you waved back at her as she got escorted further in. You followed the procession till the end, as the crowd gradually settled down around the inner park ring. For a brief moment, Alyssa remained silent before the guardian crystal as she gazed upon it. As she turned around and spoke, however, her voice was clear and resounding as can be. Citizens of Crystal Coast! Though we may come from all walks of life, from the zenith of the mountains to the depths of the seas, we come together today for a common concern, the well-being of our kith and kin against this encroaching blight. These are dark times, and while my fellow sages and our champions may be heroes, we expect not the same duties from you. If it is your lives you wish to safeguard, then please, seek refuge. Carry on the Maker's legacy. Let not your pure souls be corrupted. If you wish to depart, then go with the wind. Scatter like dandelions. Carry on this message. Carry on our people. And for those who wish to stay, stalwart as the mighty pine, you shall remain here to maintain their shelter for those who might return. Flores florent et solus ortus illuminat, ubicumque terrara metis. Per ordinem semper concilium et prosperitas aeterna invenitus. Ubi concordia, ibi victoria. Itac dum inter hominis sumis, columus humanitatum. Ordini prosperita. Ordini prosperita! Soon afterwards, the crowd dispersed as almost everybody returned to their places. Your team was about to leave as well when you noticed two of Alyssa's escorts approaching Max, whispering to him about something as he stepped away from the group. When he returned, he said that Alyssa had asked them all to speak to her in private at the inner park sanctum. In private? But isn't this a public space? Don't worry about that. These guards will lead us to her. Come on, team. Let's vacate the premises. Do we really have to? I'd rather check back at the tavern a bit. Come on, Cody. It's not every day you get to meet Lady Spring. And if it's a chance to convene with her, I'll take it. Let's go, guys. Time's a-wasting. Well, can always count on Al to boss people around when it's something he's really invested in. I'd love to ask for her remarks on what we discovered about the soil, that's all. Well, be on your best behaviors, guys. We're gonna meet Lady Spring, after all. Yeah. Before you moved along, you overheard a group of civilians talking amongst themselves. They, however, didn't seem too pleased with what Alyssa had to say. You then joined along with the guards to clear people out of the place. Afterwards, all of them stood guard both in the inner and outer rings of Vitrum Park. Max then led the team towards the inner sanctum close to the Guardian Crystal, which Alex took you to before. The guards then asked the rest of the group to stay outside, but you were escorted in alone. Requesting your audience, Lady Spring. Granted. What do you require this time around? We're here with the person you requested, milady. Thank you. If you may grant us some privacy, I would be grateful as well. Understood, milady. He glanced to the guards as they promptly moved further away from the inner sanctum, bringing the group along as well. Max only nodded at you as he escorted the others away. Soon enough, it was quiet again, with just you and Alyssa near the Guardian Crystal. I apologize. It must seem peculiar to you that I'd asked everyone to leave just as they gathered around to welcome me back. Second, y'all. It is bizarre juice time, I suppose. This is weird. It's called Suja Organic. A lot of you have probably heard of them, but this is so weird. It's cucumber, celery, grapefruit, green chard, and lettuce, paired with lemon, kale, spinach, parsley, and mint tea. is a very strange taste. It tastes green. That's the best thing I can say. It tastes green. Anyway. Well, it's good for you. That's why I'm drinking it. Truth be told, I was rather overwhelmed. So many thoughts and emotions the people of Crystal Coast had harbored for me over the years. But I had to smile on, lest the last bastion of our people's courage faltered. Is this why you chose to live in the forest? Precisely so. And before you could say much else, Alyssa already pulled you in for a hug before eventually letting go after a while. Oh, Cassian, I've missed you. How have you been, dear? Has the city been treating you well? I'm doing all right, Alyssa. The city and the guild has been welcoming to me, and it's really nice to see you again, ma'am. Good. That's very relieving to hear. Would you mind going for a walk with me, then? I can tell you have a lot of questions to be answered. Yes, ma'am. As you followed Alyssa along the inner sanctum, you couldn't help keeping a keen eye on her garment. It was intricate and elegant, yet somehow felt familiar to you. Is something wrong, child? Oh, nothing. It's just you look very different this time. She only chuckled softly as you gestured to her outfit. Oh, I'm still the same Alyssa you know, dear. And truth be told, I'd much rather wear what I usually would back at home. But alas, we all have an image to keep up, amongst others, haven't we? So they say, yeah. And I agree, I prefer simple clothing as well. So I guess this new uniform that Max and the others got for me suits me really well. Indeed, you look quite dashing in those, dear. Thank you, ma'am. Actually, that reminds me, I should return the clothes that you lent me from before. There's no need for that. I gave it to you, so it's rightfully yours. Just remember to keep it well. That's all I ask of you. Yeah, I'll keep it safe. Thank you again, Alyssa. You're welcome. Now, what is it that you'd like to know? I will answer to the best of my abilities. Well... Why am I here? Why am I here, Alyssa? Why me of all people that could be brought here? What is the purpose in me being the hero? Well, you're here because it is as the prophecy had foretold. In other words, fate has ordained that you are the one to vanquish the evil king. I didn't ask for any of this. That being said, however, this does not mean everything is already set in stone, Cassian. What do you mean by that? Prophecies are, in essence, just another means. Long have people used divination to seek guidance throughout their lives. How they actually live their lives and shape that path towards their destination, however, is entirely up to them. So while it might say that you'd be the one to put all of this to rest, the prophecy does not specify how. So that's why you could take your time, Cassian. Do it at your own pace, in your own way. I'm sure you'll come up with something of your own accord. I guess I never thought of it that way. But still, isn't the situation pretty urgent? I don't think I can just mosey on along forever. I suppose your concern is not unfounded. Worry not. We'll have a talk with your friends after we're done here. Perhaps we can figure something out together. It sounds like a plan, thanks, Alyssa. You're welcome. Once you've found the purpose of your journey, everything else will become as clear as day to you. But how will you reach that point is the question. I, too, am quite curious of how you intend to do so. Well, anything you'd like to ask, Cassian? My powers. So, what exactly are my powers? At first I thought I couldn't use magic like the others, but when Alex made me touch the Guardian Crystal there... Alyssa looked to the Guardian Crystal as she gestured towards it. I got zapped, which she said wasn't supposed to happen. Were you hurt? Thankfully, no. I just got zapped really bad, which I think Alex called system shock or something. But afterwards he suddenly found out that I could use magic now, which, admittedly, I did hurt myself trying to use it. One second, y'all. Strange-ass weird water time. To me, it's not super gross. It's just best sipped a little bit at a time. Right. I see. Thankfully, you are still here with us. What did your friend Alex make of this discovery? Well, he said my element was ether. Did I say that right? Yes, ether is indeed an element, although not in the sense that you may believe. So, if it's an actual element, does it mean I can use ether magic then? You could, yes, if that element actually existed to begin with. Huh? Alyssa, I don't understand. Didn't you say it was a real element? An actual hypothetical element. You see, Cassian, in our field of study, one does not simply discard nor disregard the unknown and unseen. The existence of the nether element implies the existence of its antithesis, which so far has been named ether. Alas, without any observable nor tangible evidence, this element will yet remain a hypothesized one. I see. So what does that make me, then? Well, the conclusion that Alex had arrived at is close, but not quite. He was correct in deducing that your element is none of the common ones, but rather what we sages call the null element. Null? What does that mean? I mean, I know what the word means, but that doesn't make any sense. If my element was null, then how could I use any magic at all? I'd be empty, right? In a sense, you're correct, but think of it this way, Cassian. Your body is akin to a prism. For most others, their prism is tuned to only let certain types of light pass through. But null prisms are different. They are empty, possessing not on their own. And instead of letting one single element pass through, yours can adapt to whichever the inbound energy is, making it your own. That sounds powerful. But how did that happen? Perhaps it is indeed because you touched the Guardian Crystal. When I first made the blueprint for it, I had the Nether's antithesis element in mind. And while it never truly materialized more than just an opposite force, it was enough to not only ward off, but also disperse any traces of Nether within the barrier. Does that mean the Guardian Crystal runs on ether still? Hypothetically, I suppose. I would say it is merely an approximation. As I've said, the element has never once materialized in this world, even if there exists a force able to neutralize the Nether element. Thus, by combining various types of crystals, we could achieve a frequency of the force I just described. And the fact that it reacted to your touch means it still functions optimally, even after several decades. Yeah, it's really powerful, but after the recent events, I'm not so sure about that anymore. So I've heard. Though, trouble yourself not, dear. Your friend was diligent enough to keep a close eye on the crystal. And now that I'm here as well, we can see to it that the barrier remains strong to protect Crystal Coast. You're right. I hope the Guardian Crystal is safe for good this time. But one more thing, Alyssa. Alex said that some people can channel power from the crystal, but it's not recommended. What does he mean by that? It's a safety precaution, Cassian, because the reaction varies greatly depending on the person touching it. If they cannot possess any elements, they cannot resonate with the crystal, thus nothing will happen when they touch it. But others who do might suffer a shock greater than what you went through. For that reason, one should not risk it by tempting fate. I see. Also, there is another reason why I decided to vacate this courtyard, not just for my own peace of mind, but also for your good as well. For my good as well? Mm-hmm. You possess a sensitive heart, Cassian. As such, it wouldn't take much for you to resonate with someone else's thoughts and feelings. Because of that, it would be best for you to be here, just with a few people we can speak to. Worry not, your friends will soon join us as well. Okay, I see. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to ask, Cassian? Am I doing the right thing? Have I been doing the right thing? Define right, if you please, Cassian. Well, am I really doing the right thing as the hero? I mean, there's no doubt about me being the hero. That was all foretold in the prophecy, right? Still, I try to help people and train myself where I can, but something still feels missing, you know? Like, I should be making more progress or getting more reward out of this. Cassian, you need to be careful. Huh? Careful? Yes. Your intentions in the way you speak, it really shows. Amend your ways while you still can, or you will find the path towards your destination a most treacherous one. You're scaring me a bit there. I don't know what you mean by any of that. I still mean well for these people. If you truly meant well, then you would have been more selfless than so. I guess. You said that I can still do it however I please, right? Freedom to choose my own path and all. That may be, but remember, Cassian, the path to evil is also paved with good intentions. You need to take care not to succumb to the darkness, just because you choose to believe what you do is right. In the end, you may lose sight of what truly is right, and your desires will be your downfall. She's being really ominous for no reason. Yeah, this dialogue is different. Does that mean my character has a little bit of corruption? I'm curious. Thank you, Alyssa. I'll try to keep that in mind. You're welcome, dear. Lest I forget, now that you can do magic, Cassian, someone must have given you an elemental crystal. Look at now. Strange juice time. I don't think I remember Alyssa saying that in any of the previous versions. Oh, yeah, you're right. I do have that with me. May I see it, then? Of course. You promptly took the crystal out and handed it to Alyssa as she briefly inspected it. Fascinating. This bears the handiwork of Alex, is it not? Alexander Pyritus Aegis? Yeah. Wait, Aegis? Like Aegis Mines? Yes, one and the same. Why? Had no one told you about this? Excuse me, why? Had no one told you about this? Not even Max? I don't think so. I always knew that Alex probably had some connections to powerful people in the city, judging by the picture of his family in Alberic's office. I never would have guessed that he's the son of the Aegis mine owner. I suppose you wouldn't suspect that on your own. But it all makes sense, no? A scholar with such aptitude is quite the worthy heir to the Aegis legacy. I agree, he's a really smart guy. Well, even if he can say weird things at times. I'm sure he means well deep down. This crystal he made for you is quite an interesting replica of the Guardian Crystal. You mean this is a miniature version of that? Indeed, more or less so. More precisely, I can tell that he based this upon the vitreous apparatur, one of the first inceptions of the Guardian Crystal. And what's that? It means glass attendant. Think of someone that would escort you safely through your voyage of this land. Alright, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!